Okay, hello students. How are you? Today's our topic is thalassemia. First of all, we'll see what is thalassemia. Thalassemia की definition you should know. Thalassemia it is an inherited blood disorder in which the body produces an abnormal form of hemoglobin, which results in excessive destruction of red blood cells and further it leads to anemia. So first of all, we will see what are the types of hemoglobin that are present in normal humans, for example, in adults, and they are present in fetus. In hemoglobin A1, in normal adults, it is present in 92%. And what are the globin chains that are present? These are two. There are two alpha and two beta chains. And it is in the percentage of 92% in adults, and while hemoglobin A2 it is present by 2.5% in normal adults, and it has globin chain 2 alpha and 2 delta chains, that is alpha 2 delta 2. And fetal hemoglobin in normal adults it is present less than 1%, and it has 2 alpha and 2 gamma chains. Same hemoglobin H, Bart's hemoglobin, sickle hemoglobin, and hemoglobin C. So next is what are the types of thalassemia? There are two major types of thalassemia. Number one is alpha thalassemia and number two is beta thalassemia. What is alpha thalassemia? Alpha thalassemia is the result of changes in the genes for the alpha globin component of hemoglobin. And what is the etiology of this alpha thalassemia? Alpha thalassemia, this is due to the mutation in the DNA of cells that produce hemoglobin. And second etiology can be inherited. Alpha thalassemia, it results when there is a disturbance in production of alpha globin from any or all four of the alpha globin genes. So genes are responsible for regulating the synthesis and structure of different globins, which are divided into two clusters. The alpha globin genes, they are encoded on chromosome number 16, and the gamma, delta and beta globin genes, they are encoded on chromosome 11. So a normal person carries a linked pair of alpha globin genes to each from maternal and paternal chromosome. Therefore, alpha thalassemia it occurs when there is a disturbance in production of alpha globin from any or all four of the alpha globin genes. So when functional point mutations, frame shift mutations, nonsense mutations, and chain termination mutations they occur within or around the coding sequences of the alpha globin gene, then cluster hemoglobin is impaired. So when that occurs, protein synthesis, it will be inhibited. So there's alpha chain mutation when it is absent, which results in excessive production of gamma globin chains in the fetus and in newborn, or beta globin chains in children and adults. The beta globin chains, they are capable of forming soluble tetramers. These are beta 4 or HbH. So this form of hemoglobin is still unstable. This is not a normal hemoglobin. So what will do, it will precipitate within the cell and it forms insoluble inclusions called Heinz bodies. So you should know what are Heinz body, and these are present in normal condition or in abnormal condition. So these Heinz bodies, they damage the red blood cells, and this further results in damage to erythrocyte precursors and ineffective erythropoiesis in the bone marrow, hypochromia, and it also microcytic picture in the circulating red blood cells will be seen. So in the picture you can see in case of alpha thalassemia, one parent has an alpha thalassemia trait and with two abnormal alpha globin genes on the same chromosome, while in female, that is the other parent, it has the silent carrier state with a single abnormal alpha globin gene on the chromosome. So what will be the result? In the offspring, there will be 25% cases. They will be normal. They will having normal hemoglobin, and in 25% cases, they will have alpha thalassemia trait, and in 25% alpha thalassemia silent carrier, and in hemoglobin H will be present in 25% cases. अब जरा इधर ही रहे। Okay, students, in thalassemias, beta thalassemia is more important. You have already done the alpha thalassemia, so we will do what is beta thalassemia. Beta thalassemia is a genetic blood disorder that reduces the production of hemoglobin. So this is structure of hemoglobin molecule. So in beta thalassemia, they are the most important types of thalassemia because they are so common and usually produce severe anemia in the homozygous and compound heterozygous states when combined with other hemoglobin globinopathies or thalassemia. These are called combined heterozygous states. So beta thalassemia, they are autosomal inherited disorder of beta globin synthesis, and in most globin structure is normal, but the rate of production is reduced because of decrease in the transcription of DNA, abnormal processing of pre-messenger RNA, or decreased translation to of messenger RNA, leading to the decreased hemoglobin, adult hemoglobin production. So usually and mostly they are caused by gene mutations in the beta gene in chromosome number 11, although deletions can also occur. So hundreds of mutations possible in the beta globin gene. Therefore, beta thalassemia is more diverse disease in its presentation. The presentation, it differs between people depending on the type of mutation. So this results in excess alpha chains because they cannot find their counterparts. Alpha, there are only alpha chains and there will be no counterparts. What are the counterparts? In normal adult, these are the beta chains. They will not be available to bind. So these are the classes of mutations that underlie in beta thalassemia. So you can see there are some deletions and point mutations that can occur in beta thalassemia cases. So next is, what is thalassemia inheritance? In thalassemia inheritance, there are always, as you know, there are always two carriers. Both parents, when they are carriers, so what will be the result? The net result will be in the offspring. There will be in 25% cases they will be having normal gene. They will be normal, and in 50% cases, as you can see in this diagram, 25 and 25, 50% cases, they will have thalassemia trait. And in next 25% case, there will be offspring. They will have a severe thalassemia. So beta thalassemia, they are usually and mostly due to single base pair substitutions rather than deletions. Although deletions, they can also occur. So we will do what is the hemoglobin switching and at what levels hemoglobin switching occurs. This occurs in utero when embryonic hemoglobin, they switch to the fetal hemoglobin. Also it occurs in postnatal when hemoglobin F is switched to adult hemoglobin. It occurs mostly at the age of 6 months when fetal hemoglobin will decrease and it will switch to the adult hemoglobin, HbA. So hemoglobin switching, it requires the coordination of numerous genetic, cellular and signaling factors during periods of human development. So what are the effects at beta thalassemia? It can be in contrast to the alpha globin. Beta globin is not necessary during the fetal life. As you already know, in fetal hemoglobin there are 2 alpha and 2 gamma chains. But in adult hemoglobin there are 2 alpha and 2 beta chains. So what will occur in beta thalassemia in early 6 months of age, beta thalassemia, it will not be appear because there is large amount of fetal hemoglobin is present, but at the after the age of 6 months, when it's switching of fetal hemoglobin to adult hemoglobin occurs, then it will pair its symptoms. So the onset of thalassemia is not apparent until a few months after birth, when fetal hemoglobin is switched to HbA, that is adult hemoglobin. So there are what are the types of thalassemia, beta thalassemia. So first of all, you should know there are three components, common types of beta thalassemia. That is beta plus 2 thalassemia. क्या है? The production of beta chain is mildly reduced, but in beta plus single plus thalassemia, the production of beta chain is more reduced than beta plus 2, but not absent. We will not say it will be absent. So beta plus 2 and beta plus, they are caused by mutations in promoter genes, and cap sites, they were having some consensus sites within introns, and there can be 3-UTR or poly A site and change in coding region. So what will be the next in third type? There will be beta not thalassemia. Beta not thalassemia means there is totally absent of beta chain production, and it will be caused by mutations in initiation codon, splicing at junctions, frame shift, and due to nonsense mutations. So in beta plus and beta plus 2 thalassemia, the mutated gene, it encodes for a small amount of normal beta messenger RNA, and the quantity of beta globin chain which are made, it varies largely from one molecular mutation to defect to another. So excess alpha chains, they will precipitate in the red blood cell precursor cells, and what will they cause? And they will cause the ineffective erythropoiesis. And also, if it escape, then intramedullary ineffective erythropoiesis, and there can be red blood cells possessing precipitated alpha chains, and they can be immobilized in the peripheral blood by the reticuloendothelial system, especially in spleen. So in beta not thalassemia, in which there is no beta chain present, the beta chain is unable to encode for any functional messenger RNA, and therefore there is no beta chain synthesis. So the situation will be more severe and it will be more difficult than beta plus thalassemia. So more excess alpha chains will precipitate in the red blood cell precursors, and it will cause the ineffective erythropoiesis. And also, if it escapes the ineffective erythropoiesis, then red blood cell possessing precipitated alpha chains, they will be immobilized in the peripheral blood by the reticuloendothelial system, especially in the spleen. So thus anemia in beta not thalassemia, it will be more difficult, it will be more severe than beta plus and beta plus 2 thalassemia. So always remember this. Beta thalassemia and malaria. What is its association with the beta thalassemia and malaria? Thalassemic red blood cells, it offers protection against severe malaria caused by Plasmodium falciparum. So the effect is associated with reduced parasite multiplication within the red blood cells, and among the contributing factors may be the variable persistence of hemoglobin F, which is relatively resistant to digestion by malarial hemoglobin. So about beta thalassemia, briefly I will tell you the molecular defects in beta thalassemia. They basically result in absence or varying reduction. According to the type of mutation, they will cause varying reduction in beta globin chain production. So alpha chain synthesis is unaffected, and hence there is imbalanced globin chain production leading to an excess of alpha chain. So in the absence of their partners, what are the partners of alpha chains? These are beta chains in adult hemoglobin. What will do? They are unstable and they precipitate in the red blood cell precursors, giving rise to large intracellular inclusions, and that can interfere with the red blood cell maturation. Hence, there is a variable degree of intramedullary destruction of red blood cell precursors, and we will call it ineffective erythropoiesis. So those red blood cells which escape ineffective erythropoiesis and mature, and when they enter the circulation, they contain only alpha chain inclusions, and they will interfere with their passage through the reticuloendothelial system. So when these are not normal red blood cells, so what we will do when they pass through the reticuloendothelial system, especially when they pass through the spleen, and they will be degraded, and the degradation products of excess alpha chains, particularly heme and iron portion, that will be produced as a result of degradation. What will they cause? They produce deleterious effect on the red blood cell membrane proteins and lipids. So the what will be the end result? The end result will be there is an extremely rigid red blood cell with a red cell with a shortened survival, and it will finally lead to the hemolysis. So the anemia is due to two main components. What are these components? Number one component that causes anemia in beta thalassemia patients. Number one, there is ineffective erythropoiesis, that is totally intramedullary. And second, there effect that can cause anemia in this patient. There will be extravascular hemolysis in reticuloendothelial system, especially in Spain. So a third component that could contribute for the severity of anemia is splenomegaly. Splenomegaly, spleen is enlarged, so it will trap more red blood cells. That may also worsen. It will also worsen the anemia because of two components. There are, number one, there can be increased sequestration, and second, there can be increased plasma volume caused by the splenomegaly. So extramedullary erythropoiesis occurs, which also contributes for the splenomegaly. It is worthy to note that extramedullary erythropoiesis is not a perfect process. This is why in thalassemias we may see teardrop cells, but this is a picture that we will see on the peripheral blood smear. There will be teardrop cells and nucleated RBCs, that we call it NRBCs in short. And there, although the NRBCs, they are seen in the blood film, they are from both the bone marrow and from the extramedullary erythropoiesis. So this is the pathophysiology of beta thalassemia. In pathophysiology, you can do in the flowchart form. You will see, number one, there is a alpha chain and gamma chain. Alpha and gamma chain, they form the hemoglobin F, that is fetal hemoglobin. And in excess alpha chain, it will also bind with the beta. Because there is no beta chain, there will be only excess production of alpha chain. Alpha chain, what will we do? It will cause denaturation and degradation, and further there will be hemolysis, and hemolysis, it will be occur in splenomegaly, and there will be pooling and plasma volume expansion. And second can be, there will be destruction of red blood cell precursors. Red blood cell precursors, what we call it then ineffective erythropoiesis. And so both splenomegaly and ineffective erythropoiesis, they will lead to the anemia. What will anemia will? It will cause the tissue hypoxia, and due to tissue hypoxia, there will be increased production of erythropoietin, and there will be if there is also more erythropoietin production, and second, there can be more demand for transfusion. So if there is more transfusion, it will lead to the iron overloading, and due to increased erythropoietin production, there will be it will lead to the marrow expansion, and due to marrow expansion, it will also cause the increased iron absorption, and further they will lead to the iron loading, and then it will further lead to the endocrine deficiencies and cirrhosis, and it can also call the cardiac failure. So this is the pathophysiology in case of when there is excess alpha chains and there is no beta chain. So if there is a excess alpha chain is also produced, but and when it combines with the gamma, and it will form the fetal hemoglobin. So in fetal hemoglobin, as I have already told you, there are two alpha and two gamma chains. There will be selective survival of fetal hemoglobin containing precursors, and there are increased level of fetal hemoglobin in red blood cells. And what will be in case of fetal hemoglobin, always remember there is a high oxygen affinity of red blood cells. When there is higher oxygen affinity with the red blood cells, they will not properly deliver the oxygen to the tissues. There will be reduced basically oxygen delivery to the tissues. And what will be that effect? There will be increased production of erythropoietin by the kidneys and also by the liver. And what will be they do? They will cause a marrow expansion. They will try to increase more erythropoietin by more expansion to compensate the anemia. So the marrow expansion, what will cause? It will cause a skeletal deformities and increased metabolic rate, wasting, gout, and folate deficiency. So skeletal deformity, these are very common in beta thalassemia patients. So this is a summary of phenotype and genotype relationships in beta. In silent beta thalassemia, what will be the And in thalassemia trait, what can be the phenotype, and in thalassemia intermedia, and in thalassemia major. So you should know the phenotype of thalassemia major, intermedia, and minor. So there will be there are various heterozygous from one part beta gene mutation that produce only small decrease in production of beta globin chains. So patients, they have nearly normal alpha and beta chains ratio and no hematological abnormalities. So I am telling about this silent carrier states of for beta thalassemia. And what will be the normal? Then they will having normal levels of hemoglobin A2. So next in we are talking about beta thalassemia minor first of all. So it is caused by heterozygous mutations of the mutations that affect the beta globin synthesis. So beta chain production and thus hemoglobin A production is more, and it will be reduced than the silent carrier, that is in hemoglobin A. Usually it presents as mild. So remember, beta thalassemia minor, the patient, they have only mild, they can be mild symptoms or they can be asymptomatic, and they can be asymptomatic anemia, hemolytic anemia, unless patient is under stress, such as it can be present with symptoms in some cases like in pregnancy, infections, or in case of folic acid deficiency. So they will have a one normal beta gene and one mutated beta gene. Hemoglobin level will be, remember, this is very important, hemoglobin level in beta thalassemia will be 10 to 13 gram per deciliter range with normal or slightly elevated red blood cells. So hemoglobin is not so much decreased as you need transfusions or any other thing. So anemia is usually hypochromic and microcytic with slightly anisocytosis and poikilocytosis, including target cells and erythrocytosis. Also, there can be some basophilic state. So rarely see hepatomegaly, and we do not normally require no treatment. You have to make sure the sure or not diagnosed as, but you have to differentiate between the iron deficiency anemia and beta thalassemia minor. So these are the picture having the beta thalassemia minor. You can see there are some anisocytosis, poikilocytosis, and there are also some target cells and teardrop cells. So next very important thing is how will you differentiate between beta thalassemia minor and iron deficiency anemia? We use a formula that is Mentzer index. In Mentzer index, what the formula? We have mean cell volume MCV divided by red blood cell count. If if the calculated value will be less than 13%, then it will be thalassemia. Or if the value is more than 13, we will label it as iron deficiency. So next is beta thalassemia intermedia. Patients, they are able to maintain minimum higher hemoglobin level in beta thalassemia intermedia. Remember, it will be always 7 gram per deciliter, or it can be more than. And without transfusions dependent. They are also not transfusion dependent. So expression of disorder falls between thalassemia minor and major. This is intermediate. We will see increase in both hemoglobin A2 production and fetal hemoglobin production, and peripheral blood smear picture is similar to the thalassemia minor. Peripheral blood smear picture will be same. So have varying symptoms of anemia, jaundice, splenomegaly, and paramegaly. But they have significant increase in bilirubin levels. And anemia usually becomes worse with infections, pregnancy, or in case of folic acid deficiency. And they may become transfusion dependent, and they tend to develop iron overloads as a result of increased gastrointestinal absorption of iron, and they usually survive into adulthood. But in case of a beta thalassemia major, this is very, very important. It is characterized always by severe microcytic hypochromic anemia, and it is detected early in childhood. And the hemoglobin level, they will be 2 to 8 gram per deciliter. In case of thalassemia, they always remember there will be severe anemia, causes marked bone changes due to expansion of marrow space or increased erythropoiesis. So you will see characteristic changes in skull, long bones, and hand bones. So regular transfusions, they are always required in case of beta thalassemia major, and they usually begin around 1 year of age and they continue throughout the life. And there is excessive number of transfusion results in transfusional hemosiderosis without any iron chelation. So in these patients, iron chelation therapy is very necessary. So patient develops cardiac diseases, liver cirrhosis, and endocrine deficiencies, and that can lead to the death of the patient. So dangers in continuous transfusion therapy, what can be? There will be, remember, there will be development of iron overload and development of aluminization, developing what is aluminization? This is the developing antibodies to transfused red blood cells. And there can also be some transfusion transmitted disease like hepatitis and AIDS. So bone marrow transplants may be the future treatment and ultimate treatment, and along with the genetic engineering and new drug therapies. So what are the investigations that we will order? As you know, the hemoglobin is, first of all, we will do the complete blood count, in which we will see the hemoglobin levels will be 3 to 8 gram per deciliter, and red blood cells, they will be microcytic hypochromic, and MCV will be this 50 to 70, and MCVH and MCA, they are also decreased. And we will also see the target cells, basophilic stiffening, and NRBCs, teardrop cells, adipocytosis, fragmented end cells, and occasionally we can also see the Howell Jolly bodies. And reticulocyte count, it will be less than 2%. So this is a picture. This is a typical picture of thalassemia major. You can see the blue. These are nucleated red blood cells. There are also target cells, teardrop cells. Okay, this is also an isocytosis, poikilocytosis, and macrocytosis, and hypochromy. So these are also picture. What will be the next investigations? We will do the iron status of this patient, and we can also do the bone marrow. Bone marrow may there will be hypercellular, and there will be thyroid hyperplasia, and there will be myelopoiesis and megakaryopoiesis. It will be normal, but the serum ferritin levels will be increased, and transfusion saturation, it will be also more than 55%, and TIBC will be reduced. So the important test that we do, there will be always, we will advise the patient to have the hemoglobin electrophoresis. Okay, in hemoglobin electrophoresis, what will we see? We see there will be hemoglobin A, hemoglobin A1, that is hemoglobin A1, hemoglobin A2, and we will also see the fetal hemoglobin. And we will next further step will be, we will advise for HPLC. What is HPLC? This is high profile lipid chromatography, and in which high profile lipid chromatography we will see the percentage of this of all these fetal hemoglobin, hemoglobin A, and hemoglobin. So we will then we will make the definitive diagnosis on the basis of these hemoglobin electrophoresis and HPLC. So this is a picture showing that beta thalassemia. It's a chromatogram of beta thalassemia major. This is a HPLC. So further investigation, we can advise the osmotic fragility test. There will be increased resistance to hemolysis. And this is a skull radiograph. So this is a typical picture of a thalassemic phase. This is also a picture of beta thalassemia major patient. You can see there the maxillary bones there are raised, and there is frontal bossing, and on radiograph there will be hair on and appearance. This is a picture of expansion of bone marrow. Okay, thank you. If you can ask, if you want to ask any questions, you can ask in WhatsApp group.